I rated Mono Blue as the fourth best deck in Standard in my tier list, and that surprised myself while I was making it. But yeah, obviously the meta has shifted a little bit. I think it has lost a little bit of power with Atraxa changing course and going more towards the graveyard strategy. But either way, I will be updating that tier list over on Patreon. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about Mono Blue itself and how I built the deck, why I chose the cards that I did, and why I think the deck is still really good. So first up, I'm running a pretty weird list, I would say. But I mean, all mono blue lists have their own flavors of what they prioritize. Some are running slip out back, some are running more make disappears, and then just less hard counters. I chose to do mostly a counter focused build with three flow of knowledge as the main draw. So essentially, I'm just trying to counter a bunch of spells and then gain a bunch of card advantage over my opponent and then keep countering spells. And then eventually, I smack them in the face with either a few tears or Haughty Djinn, and that just closes out the game. I chose to go with 23 lands with one Otawara. I was running 22 at first, but 22 has felt it was okay, but I definitely felt like, why not play an extra land? Sometimes the main power of mono blue comes from curving out and finding your lands naturally, at least until like 3 to 4 mana. Because the problem is, if your opponent curves out, you're going to need to counter on curve every time. And you can't afford to just not play a land on one turn. So technically, you would maybe even want a 24th land, which is something I was considering, and I might actually do that because of the importance as like a tempo-y deck to make sure that you are hitting your land drops while your opponent is developing, so you can afford to counter their spells and not have to dig for land. Now, one thing that does help dig for land is going to be consider, but you don't always draw that consider. Usually, like on turn 3, for example, if you hit your third land, it's pretty easy to counter for 2 and then consider into a land, but you would need the consider and you would need the counter. Now, sometimes if you're lucky, they will just not play something that you need to counter. And then in that situation, you can either thirst or impulse and find that land. And then, that's you taking over the game pretty much. If your opponent misses a turn where they force you to counter something, that's free reign for mono blue. That's where you really take over, because once you get your draw spell out, you'll pretty much have a stacked hand and you'll be able to really turn the corner immediately. So essentially, the name of the game for other decks is, can I force mono blue to attempt to counter every turn so they don't have time to use those draw spells? But you have to do that consistently on curve, otherwise they can just, one turn bam, thirst, and then the game's kind of over at that point. If they find any amount of counter magic with like Haughty Djinn up or something. So yeah, mono blue is a very explosive deck. It's a very hit or miss deck. Some matches you're gonna have a terrible time. The other matches you're gonna have a very easy time. So yeah, it's a roller coaster. The frustration and the joy, all packaged in one wild ride. It is pretty rough sometimes when you lose the coin flip for play draw game one. You get really frustrated because they slam a Bankbuster into Fable and you don't have counter match. Well, obviously you can't even counter Bankbuster because you're on the draw. Um, and then they just take over the game from there. So yeah, Mono Blue has its weaknesses. It's not a perfect deck, but when it's strong, it's very strong, and when it's weak, it's obviously very weak. So pick your poison. I just think the deck is pretty fun to play, and sometimes there are some decisions that impact the game quite a lot in this deck. You'll find yourself in a situation where you have a choice between slamming Haughty Djinn on 3 or waiting a turn. Like if you don't have your fourth land, should you actually wait? Should you slam a Djinn? Those decisions. And then in the mid game, what do I counter? I find that to be really interesting, but that doesn't happen every game. It's maybe 1 in 3. I would say one game you're just gonna dominate, one game you're gonna hard lose, and one game you have some control over the outcome. But yeah, it is what it is. Obviously, this deck gets wrecked by Hearse as well, opposing Hearse. Anyways, enough about the general strategy. I'm gonna talk about some other cards. So we're running one Spell Pierce main deck, and this is for being on the draw against Bankbuster mostly. The card is pretty good. That's why I have 2 more in the sideboard, is that, when you're on the draw, you really have to counter Bankbuster and Hearse. So you need that 1 mana interaction, and that's why we have 3. I'm running March over Slip because It also acts as a opposing creatures can't block kind of card with the terror. So it gives me a potential free attack with the terrors for lethal, whereas terror can get chump blocked relatively easily. So usually it's on defense duty. So having access to like, the protection that a protection spell offers naturally, while also having access to potential offensive ability, the offensive ability of phasing out your opponent's creatures and then you attacking through for lethal potentially is really interesting to me, and it has been relatively useful. The rest is standard here, I would say. Then we're running the 2 Essence Scatters, 3 Make Disappears, and 3 Negates as our counter magic. I'm definitely considering going up on Negate again, but I don't really know what I would cut. I think Impulse might be okay to trade for Negate, because Negate is so impactful in this deck specifically, either to protect or to stop your opponent from, drawing more cards. It's quite important to have negates in the mid game. Early game, not so much. Well, actually, early game, yeah, no, actually, early game in some matchups, countering Fable, very important. So yeah, but that's about it. It would only be one card change. The rest is pretty core. 3 Thirst, that's like a classic. 4 Jin, obviously. 3 Flow of Knowledge. Some are running 2, some are running 4. I don't know. You just pick however many you want. I feel like 3 works perfectly for me. I kind of want 4, but I think if I had 24 lands, I would try to hit 4 flow, because you don't want to flood into like nothing. So having that burst card draw is pretty important. And obviously the standard 4 terror, which is kind of a really, really impactful card in a lot of matchups. Sometimes you find yourself like really far behind, and then you manage to get enough cards in the graveyard and slam a terror for 1, and suddenly their entire board is stalled. So that's very important. Sideboard, we've got 4 Witness Protection. Now, this card is really, really good. It's obviously a card that, I don't know, it feels like at first I didn't think about why people are playing this card. Like, it just seemed kind of weird, but it just makes so much sense because of cards like Shieldred and Thalia, mostly. That's what I realized when I started playing the deck, is that they slam Thalia on 2, you can't counter it on the draw, right? And you can't really bounce it because you're spending 2 mana to bounce a 2-drop, and then you just replay it, and then you have to counter it. So, I mean, why not just slap a Witness Protection on it, and then it's a 1/1, and it has no static anymore? So this card has been incredibly useful. Same thing with Shieldred. Just slap it on there, and then it's a 1/1. Sure, you're taking like 1 damage, but honestly, health is a resource. Your life total is definitely a resource in mono blue, and it's very easy to like stall the board at some point. So you can take like chip damage and then bam, like 2 tears, 1 Jin during 1 turn, and then the board is stalled and you suddenly have like a huge attacker. And those 1/1s just don't matter anymore. Another Essence Scatter for like Esper, Rafine, and like other aggro decks. 1 Slip or whatever, like mostly like, I don't know, mono white-ish decks, or like really heavy control decks. You want the Slip to protect your Jin. Another negate, obviously. 2 Stowaways, probably the most important card for very specific matchups. So either the mirror match, mono white, and control matchups in general. It kind of acts as a removal spell bait, or it just acts as a win con. One or the other. So usually people will board in like a bunch of removal for Jin and Terror, but they won't necessarily board in their cutdowns, or they'll board them out most of the time. So this will either eat a Go for the Throat or an Edict against black decks, or it will just flip and then draw your cards. So it's pretty much the perfect card to have in matchups where you want an extra threat that can take over the game by itself. And that's exactly what Stowaway does. When it flips, it deals combat damage to a player and it draws a card. 2 Hearst for the mirror. Graveyard attracts the decks. Sometimes Grixis when you're on the draw. But I mean, this card is just kind of a staple in most sideboards at this point, so I'm sure it's not a surprise to see it here. Consuming Tide is a really good card. Consuming Tide is one of my favorite cards in the deck. It can win you the game in positions where mono blue would never win the game. So obviously your opponent just goes wide, you have no sweeper. Well, this is kind of like a sweeper. So it fills that role perfectly. It's a 4 mana. They choose 1 non-land permanent they control. You choose 1 non-land permanent they control. and then everything else gets returned back to hand, and if they have more cards in their hand, you draw a card. So it's really good. It replaces itself almost every time, and it allows you to keep one of your creatures, which is usually going to be better than most of their creatures. So for example, if you have a Djinn, then you just keep the Djinn, and sometimes you have nothing else to bounce, so it's not even doing anything to your board, but it's completely removing most of the aggression from your opponent's board. So that's like really insane swing. That's a really insane swing in a deck that's very counterspell focused. So they might not have the mana to play everything, and you can just counter the spell that you're most afraid of. Sure, they'll have one more attacker, but this deck has like decent interaction for one creature. It just doesn't have interaction for multiple creatures, and you can usually race that one creature with your Djinn, for example, or even a terror. But sometimes they won't even be able to pass. If you have just a terror, for example, they won't be able to pass that with their one creature, because 5/5 is a very big stat line for a blocker, especially with Ward 2. So they might end up spending a lot of their turn just trying to remove it potentially. I don't know. Consuming Tide is a fantastic card. It is really, really clutch in multiple scenarios. It has won me a few games, especially against mono white. But yeah, I love the card. I feel like it's really good. You can also play. I mean, if you don't really care about aggro decks, I guess you can just play the Invoke, the blue Invoke, the Steel thing. I just don't find it useful at all. I feel like it's only potentially useful if they slam a hearse and you can't counter it, and then you need an answer to it. But I can't see another situation where you'd want it over Witness Protection, just because Witness Protection is more efficient in the early game. It's more flexible. It doesn't require 5 mana. So it just has, like, if I'm gonna use something as removal, quote unquote, I'd rather it be something much more flexible and less clunky to cast than 4 or 5 mana spell, depending on if you have Djinn reduction. But yeah, that's about it. Anyways, I'm gonna leave you with some matches here. Hope you enjoy them. And yeah, let's get into it. Oh, it's Arnie. Okay, Arn is probably gonna fuck me up because Mono Blue does not really work against good players. And he's on the play. Feels not good, man. Feels not very good. My hand is not terrible, but no, what? Come on, Arn. What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh shit, I can't square on YouTube. Oh well, I guess I'm bleeping that. Why is he playing mono red? And why am I on the draw? No, why is mono red always on the play? That's a good draw. Isn't mono red okay? It is, but not when I'm on the draw with no counterspell and no creature. But it is a good matchup, sure. Oh. Okay. Suddenly, we have a creature in hand. Okay. Am I getting attacked? Yes. Do I take? Yes. Kumana. I mean, Slippy is kind of useless, so there's no way they can kill this in the first place. Impulse over Thirst? Probably not. This costs 2, right? Well, I guess it's more efficient. Yeah, I can probably find more card draw off that. I can make it cost 1 anyways. This is interesting. I actually don't think I grabbed the second terror here. I think I need the card draw. Damn, I wish I'd kept the Thirst, actually. I mean, maybe I just grab anyways. Yeah, whatever. Prevents most damage right now. I probably top deck something useful, and if I don't, I have a scry anyways. Yeah, no, nothing from that. Okay. Alright, now we wait. I just need like a... I need something. Well, yeah, land draw was not good, obviously. Thirst, flow, impulse, obviously. March. March with 2-turn clock. I have to keep this. Okay, not very useful. I guess not super bad. Oh, that's terrible. Okay, that's bad. Don't think this is lethal, but... maybe I should have kept the thirst. I don't know. I didn't expect to, like, not find anything, but maybe I should have used that as well earlier. I don't know. I should have bounced that, right? Too late now. I need a draw spell. Yeah, it's kind of over. They just took over the board, even through everything. Didn't really have anything. No, there was nothing even close to impactful on the top anyways. Okay. I don't think game one is very good for me, and I don't think, I don't know, I don't feel like this matchup's good for me, but could be wrong. It's really hard to beat Squee and Chick and Bloodthirsty adversary because you can't really counter it. Kumano, actually, this can't be a good matchup. I don't know. It's only good, I think, if you hit the Jin early and you can 2-turn clock them, but I had no opportunity to do that with the terrors. I needed my Jin to come in early. Definitely play Mist. I mean, Make D is not good, but could also be okay. Consuming Tide could be good, but it could also be useless, but... Also, they probably have Hearse, right? Hmm. think I had to get lucky. I don't know. I'm okay with how I played that game one. I just had to draw something more impactful after I played the two things. I mean, 5 land can definitely mulliganing and risking having like a 2-lander against mono red, I think is terrifying. If I had a 3-lander, I'd be really happy. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna get it. This hand is terrible against a creature on one. So Cubano into creature, I'd lose, I think. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that is better, but not by that much. Just it has terror. Yeah. Cubano's like the main way I lose this, and they've had it twice. I don't want to keep that, but not having a counterspell in hand was not ideal. Okay, land is huge here. Slamming the Jin is really interesting, but I guess I just Essence Scatter and then play Terror. Yeah. Alright, good thing I didn't take that. Second Jin or Impulse? It's probably just second Jin at this point. Just cast them back to back. Whatever I top deck is fantastic in this spot. Ugh. Not great. But I have a Jin, so it's good for next turn potentially. They need removal, otherwise I get to play this and this. Yeah, they have it. Yeah, Rebel Salvo, sure. Now they need an answer for the next one. I'm dead. I don't think this matchup is good. It's only good if you hit like insane amount of terrors, I think, and even then, I'm not sure. It feels like they just chip you down, and you can't kill them fast enough. Like their clock is way faster. It's on you to find the answers. I don't have enough here. So I can block this and this, and then hold up Fading Hope, I guess. I can bring back the chick, maybe. They drew very well. That's true, yeah. Yeah, Kumano on 1 is like a huge factor in this matchup. They don't have a non-creature spell. I don't think I have a choice. Ugh. Technically at 1 year. Unless they have a non-creature or haste creature, but I can't play around those. It's hard when they just draw a bunch of creatures. I can never outboard them. They'll always go wide enough. I had a pretty good hand too. Which the Kumano on 1 is what really kills you every time. It's too much. Just gotta hit better. Okay. Sure. Mirror match? Are you serious? What is this matchmaking? How the hell do I get paired against mono red? Orzhov control? Okay. Wait, no, it is mono, it's mono blue with red. Yeah. It's mono blue with red, which is not a good matchup because I don't have red and they have Fable and I'm flooding. Okay, I might end the stream here, honestly. This is just ridiculous. I mean, putting that in the graveyard is just, well, I have to. At least they can't play March, so there's that. I mean, I'm hitting my land drops, but I guess they're also hitting their land drops. Tankbuster, are you kidding me? Yep, sure. Okay, that's a good sign. Maybe I'm okay here. Might have to phase them out. Sure. I should have done that upkeep, I kind of forgot. Take the trade here. They could have another shore up though. I don't know why they would be playing multiple shore ups, but I guess okay, now I have an answer for it at least. Like a good answer for it. I will take the trade if they offer it. Otherwise, if they use another... Okay, that's actually totally fine. In fact, I would say that is really good for me. 2-turn clock. I'm definitely not dying this turn, at least. Or let's hope that's not the case. Okay, they did not keep a Jin, which means they have another one in hand. Table. Alright. Okay, they actually have negates, which is unfortunate. Good. Okay. Abel's so good. Bankbuster? Wow. Does that mean I have to play Spell Pierce in this matchup? That would be very cringe. Invoke the Winds is not a good sideboard card. Yeah, I tested it. Kind of thinking that Flow of Knowledge is not as good as I want it to be in this matchup. Or Flow of Knowledge, should I say? Yeah. Okay, at least I got the stowaway. Okay, good. I'm really scared of Fable, but I kind of have to slam on the draw. Or Fable kind of farms me though, but hopefully this farms them. Okay, it's not Fable. Good. Gamble paid off. That I can beat. Go to Knights. Werewolf, go! Go, go, Power Rangers. Oh, they're just gonna flip again. Unfortunate. Okay, -1 counterspell. Actually, I should not do that. That was a mistake. Now they can flip. I did not realize that, but right before I cast that, okay, that was a mistake. I was gonna do consider it, and then I was like second guessing myself. I mean, at least they don't get to draw. I don't think I need this many negates at this point. And to be fair though, getting that countered and being able to hearse potentially, like, because they didn't use negate, for example. Like if they have negate, they would rather use that, right? So they could have, but I would have drawn a card. I think hearse is actually more valuable. It's flipping here. I let it flip. Second hearse, whatever. Go, go, werewolf, go. Yes. I don't want them getting any cards that they want here. I know they don't have the answers in their hands, so well, they can counter that. Wait, do I even care about Jin? Maybe I just let that through either way. That's fine. They had to use negate for that. I get my terror. I can also ditch this anyways. Did I take land here? I think so. Sure. That's good. I get to hit with Spell Pierce. That's really important. Sure. Sure. Why not? Now I kind of have a decent attacker as well. And I've still got the stowaway, potentially flipping again. And they don't play flow, so they don't really have mass card advantage. They can only chip away at their deck. Find like a few spells they might need, but they can't find like everything. But they're not letting it flip at least. I will get a good card at least. Hopefully, out of 2. Sure. That's fine. Yeah. All right. 6. Oh my goodness. That was interesting, to say the least. But huge flow. Otherwise, I would have drawn that. I'd probably lose there. Actually, this would have helped a lot to get through those. Spell Pierce at this point. It could be good. Like, I don't know. I think I'm definitely witnessing that though. Just so they don't get cost reduction. I don't think I need the extra land, but who knows. Their mana efficiency is lower now, which is going to be good. It means the Spell Pierce is a little better. I could have discarded Thirst, realist. No, maybe. Okay. Well, okay. We're actually going somewhere. I think I might have to play multiple Spell Pierces main to play around Bankbuster. I always hit 4-landers. I don't get it. I'm always on the draw with a 4. This has happened 3 times. I'm on the draw with a 4-lander again. Like, what? 23 lands? But I'm always on the draw though. Like, it's never everything. Is this a track set? Please tell me it's a track. If it's Jund, I'm okay with that. It's probably Jund. Could be a track set, it's probably Jund. Okay, this is fine. Jund is fine. That's a good draw. Okay, finally a good match. Holy moly. Hmm. Probably need the Fading Hopes against this thing. Good draw. They don't have Invoke mana, so this is a better play. Another player getting baited by the fast lands in an Invoke deck. Well, let's hope they play into this somehow. Not that they could invoke. I wish they had invoke mana, kinda. Ah. No point. No point in countering that. At the cost of my Terror. Terror is almost more valuable at this point, and I get to save my spell this way. I'll find an answer for that, surely. Surely I will find an answer for that. Or I'll find another Jin and then it's fine. Okay, sure. Yeah, they'll get to draw, but then they can't block, so... That's the duality of Glissa and why it's probably only good if you have a way of giving it vigilance somehow. To get the value out of it, you have to attack. And attacking is a privilege reserved for decks that are very aggressive, I think, most of the time. And Jund midrange is not that deck. Thankfully. Otherwise I would have probably lost this. Pretty much hard counter up. Goodbye, Tolarian Terror. See you next time. Interesting, like, mix of creatures and non-creature. These types of matchups are usually pretty random on the mono blue side because I have to hit the right answers at the right time. It's not always easy. Definitely need Spell Pierce on the draw. Fading Hope is really good. I've got Glissa, I've got the token from Fable. Make Disappear over Essence Scatter. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. If I had to choose, I think I cut an Impulse for Scatter though anyways, or Witness Protection. That way I have an answer for Glissa on the board. Although, no, they can, they can unleash the Inferno on my ass. That's not gonna work. Could be Slip to play around sacrifice effects. But it could also just be a counterspell. I don't think they're running that many creatures. Like, they have to be... Shield Red is scary. I don't know. I don't know if they're more non-creature focused. Usually, when facing mono blue, people just start boarding in a bunch of non-creature spells. Disruption, removal. So that should mean I can lower my creature counter spells, hopefully. Interesting hand. Keeping the Terror might have been wrong, honestly. Depends. It's very useful in this matchup, but I do need to not get hit by duress, and I was able to dodge it, so it's quite good. Yeah, we don't want another land here, at least not... Okay, well, I'll take that one, I guess, but not the next one. I need some card draw. Card draw. Yep. I think I'm really considering curate over impulse. Seems like it's very, oh, it's a creature build actually. Seems like it's really important to get terror out in some matchups, and impulse does not help you do that at all. So you get no benefit from casting an impulse on 2 basically, other than, you know, the card selection is good, but sometimes you have to like not counter to impulse, or if you don't have a counter. Okay, I need creature counters against this. No way around that one. Huh? There's way too many creatures. I thought it would be a little bit less than this. Okay. Yeah, wrong sideboarding. A little bit wrong. Fine, I'll discard this since I can curate, consider. Please give me a spell that I want to put in the graveyard. No. Please. Okay, whatever. That's not great. That is not optimal at all. I can't bounce the Harvester. Very, very suboptimal. See if they have perfect hand. Fine. I'll take 6. It is what it is. For the win. Gotta do what you gotta do. Last card negate is fantastic in this spot. Audigen is actually not bad since they just used the Harvester. I'll play it. Gives me a clock. They can double trade this off, but I don't think it's that good for them. Actually, yeah, in that case I should have played first. Yeah, whatever. Okay, they don't see it. Alright, good. I would have taken this trade, actually. It's not bad for them. It disables my negate as well. I didn't consider that if they double sack, I would lose my negate. I would lose the ability to cast it. Okay. Sure. Very good, very good. Good matchup finally. An invoke deck. It's exactly what I want to be facing. So I want to be facing Fable and Invoke essentially. If you enjoy my content and would like to see me keep making it, consider joining my Patreon, where you will gain access to a bunch of bonus videos, other types of content, and of course, depending on the tier, other services as well. Thank you so much to all the lovely patrons that have already subscribed. I appreciate you all very much. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.